Well, two of the vampires gang up on Anna, and while this scene is okay if you mute the TV, hearing their awful hammy deliveries is such delicious agony, and oh, that is so hot. Unfortunately, they're interrupted by the death of their idiot sister. She was kicking VH's ass, and suddenly decided to give him plenty of time to pick up a weapon, dip it in holy water, and shoot her in her idiot heart. The remaining two fly back home. In a surprisingly well-justified turn, the townspeople are ready to lynch VH for pissing off the vampires, who will inevitably start killing for revenge instead of just food. And I am just wondering, but who made this guy city spokesman? Maybe he's a really warm, funny guy when he's at home, and is just his professional persona. Either way, Anna speaks up for him, and we move on to Castle Dracula. They lament the loss of Idiot Bride and establish that they're going to try their experiment again. And apparently Igor stayed on with Dracula, who puts up with him for some reason. Dracula and the ladies really steal the show here. They have so much passion and... here we go again. The vampires are what killed this movie. I mean, the rest isn't great, but the vampires managed to take any sort of dignity out of this. The casting, the script, the acting, all just terrible and deflating. I mean... none of this movie is that great, but... wait. This isn't my Valium? Not to complain, but this is actually starting to hurt. So next we get another, "You need my help." "No, I don't." Scene with Anna and VH, and then he knocks her out. When she wakes up, the Wolfman has snuck into her house. Suddenly, during a cloudy moment, her brother shows up. However, her relief becomes horror when he starts to transform before her very eyes. He starts to climb the wall because, again referring back to Underworld, werewolves seem reluctant to share the floor with Kate Beckinsale. Well, she's about to get chomped when once again VH runs in to save her. I know the movie makers wanted to be the tough-as-nails action woman, but perhaps they could have had her do something more badass than posing impressively. Anyway, after the gravedigger tries to kill him for no conceivable reason, who needs a reason, VH tries to kill the werewolf, only to be stopped by Anna. She begs him to help her save her brother, and he agrees. They head over to Castle Frankenstein, where brother is being strapped down to be used as a battery. For what? As Van Helsing figures out with ridiculous speed, Dracula is trying to bring his born-dead offspring to life. I do like that at least one movie has thought about the idea that being dead might actually hinder one's ability to make babies. Son of Dracula, indeed. VH and Anna suddenly lose all sense of urgency and putz around by the cocoons, while brother is being tortured horribly, until the vampires spawn, hatch, and fly wild. While they have their fun, VH confronts Dracula, Anna tries and fails to save her brother, and even Q ends up saving a hot peasant. That is another thing in the movie's favor. Spoiler, Van Helsing doesn't get the girl, but the wormy sidekick ends up shacking up with peasant. That's... a solid reversal. The next scene finds them falling into the remains of the windmill and right into the Frankenstein monster's lap. I kinda like the design here, even if it's a bit too much. Anyway, he's fairly eloquent and just wants to be left alone. And despite having a snap-top skull and all, he is still susceptible to knockout darts. Huh. Well, they decide to take, let's call him Frankie, back to Rome, away from Dracula. This leads to a carriage chase where... man, what the hell am I doing? I guess every part of me gets really into the zone when I review, but this is ridiculous. Okay, so the review is done. I have better things to do with my time than... wait. This isn't my albuterol? Ah! I can't believe I'm doing this, but seriously, what else could you put this in? I mean, okay, bottles, pills, needles... no, he wouldn't have. So yes, the brides start attacking when they notice that the bridge is out, and while the horses are able to not send Speed's jumping bus. Anyway, it was a trap decoy, and we are yet another bride down. Meanwhile, the carriage with the real Frankie in it is now on fire for some reason. You know, if madness wasn't my element. Now it explodes, sure. Meanwhile, Van Helsing has killed the werewolf, but got himself a bite in the process. Also, the last remaining bride takes off with Anna. Back in... City? Bride offers to exchange Anna for Frankie at a Halloween ball. After hiding Frankie away, they head in to save the half-entranced Anna. They don't know the entire hall is full of vampires when they swoop in to grab her, but soon it becomes obvious. Fortunately, it turns out Q's flashbang from earlier can create a sunburst brilliant enough to destroy a large chunk of the vampire population. This victory is, however, overshadowed by Frankie's capture and VH's early transformation symptoms. The next evening they confer, and after Q makes an offhand reference to Dracula being defeated by the left hand of God...
Wikipedia. Let's see. Left hand of God. Angel Gabriel, which is what Dracula called Van Helsing. He's a beleathered, rugged angel. You know, if this was a running gag in a YouTube video, I'd say it was wearing pretty thin. Anyway, this review is not going to go on any longer. I need... Wait. This isn't my preparation H. Ah! He did!
Well, long and short, they open the doorway to Dracula's castle and go through. They find Frankie, who reveals that Dracula has a cure for the werewolf curse before being lifted up to the lab. There they split up, with VH going to save Frankie and confront Dracula, Anna and Q to find the cure. When they do, the latter team runs into one desperate, pissed-off bride. Q runs ahead with the formula and gets menaced by Igor, the other team's wormy sidekick, while Anna fights the vampire. VH almost manages to free Frankie when Dracula notices and turns into some kind of demon bat thing. Frankie manages to break his last chain and swings in, accidentally rescuing Q. Back with Anna, we see that Bride has a clever sort of blood vision in the dark as she toys with her victim. I hope Bride realizes that her needless cruelty is what has prevented her from actually destroying Anna and Van Helsing before they killed her friends. I find that kind of dedication to evil sexy. Anyway, after getting his sorta life sorta saved by Q, Frankie swings over and helps Anna. Van Helsing, meanwhile, goes hairy, and the whole thing becomes a cartoon monster fight. Frankie takes over Anna's opponent, meaning that she has yet to do even one truly badass thing in this film, and it's almost over.
Now, I don't mean to be cruel, but... Okay, I'm not touching anything else till we get some labels on things. Okay. The review is over. It's done. I can't believe I let it go on this long. There's only 10 minutes left in the film.
Wow, I'm almost touched. Anyway, more cartoon fighting and back to Anna. Bride catches up with her and gloats some more until Anna just stakes her. Her petty cruelty brought her grace, but also death. It's so poetic. Also, that still doesn't count as a badass moment for poor little Anna. But yeah, VH kills Dracula, and his spawn are destroyed! Anna rushes in to give Van Helsing the cure, but gets killed even as she succeeds. VH gets a sad puppy face before reverting to human. They cremate her, and as Frankie paddles off into the sunset, Anna's giant cloud head reassures him and everyone that the movie is finally over. So what did I think of it? Very stupid. Very, very stupid, with some clever bits. The fights are pretty boring, and the acting was pretty bad, but I won't say there's no fun to be had here. Some of the humor worked, though if they were at any point intending scares, no.
So that was Van Helsing. It's a bad movie, but as I think I've demonstrated, bad doesn't necessarily mean worthless. Well, this has been Hyde, and to a lesser extent Victor, and this is The Junkyard. Thanks for watching. Have a happy Halloween. Now, I know I'm going to revert back pretty soon, so what can I do with my last few moments of existence? What a month. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, it's about what I expected.